everyone. Okay, so I just got a message on my YouTube account. Um, Something that I can't say a lot of people ask me, but I do see quite often because I do a lot of grooming, and I actually own the pet store that I work at. I guess I still work here. Um, so it's become more and more common for me to see these things because people have been coming in and oh, you grew and etc. etc. So a cat with a mat. People who have long-haired cats, even medium-haired cats, um, they tend to see this quite often. I've actually seen mats on short-haired cats too, which to me is really weird. Um, I'll get to why that's weird in a minute. But a lot of the times, the reason why cats come to me with mats is usually because they have longer fur and they don't enjoy being brushed at all. Now, you will see matting in cats that have been declawed more so than cats who have not, simply because their claws would be used to scratch and to kind of comb all that stuff out. You'll also see matting more often in cats that are older or who are overweight. Because they can't turn themselves around to get to that area around their tail, it's really hard for them to lift that out and to get the shedding fur out from underneath because they can't reach it. So I guess what I'm getting at here is that prevention is the best medicine. If you have a declawed cat, I strongly suggest brushing them more often than if you have a cat that has his claws. If your cat is getting older, I suggest doing some more brushing. It will help to remove those flyaway hairs, and it will help them to keep themselves clean because they would normally be able to get back there, and now they can't. So if your cat has a mat, there's two kinds of mats. I hear a lot of this, especially with dogs, not so much with cats. Usually cats come in and they're matted. But I do get a lot of people who say, "Oh my God, my dog has a mat," or "My cat has a mat." Um, to me, there's like I said, there's two different kinds of mats. You have your small tangly things, and then you have your mats, which are like so tight that they look like dreadlocks. Now, if your cat is knotted, where it almost looks like it's hard to explain. Kind of like when you have a wool sweater and you see those little tufts hanging out. They kind of look bigger than the actual wool is. That to me is a manageable knot. Most of the time, those can be picked apart, and once you get them kind of apart, you can see that a lot of those are comprised mostly of shedding fur that kind of got stuck along the way. So there's a few tricks to getting these out. The first thing I'm going to tell you is do not get your cat wet. That's just going to make the problem so much worse. Not even beyond the fact that most of them don't like baths, but by adding water to it, what you do is you strip the fur of the oils on the coat, so it makes it actually harder for the fur to kind of slide out from each other. So what you're going to want to do is get some really thick pet conditioner or something like olive oil, and you're going to want to put it on the mat. And you'll want to very gently start pulling the mat apart, and it will come apart if it's not a pancake. It will slowly kind of work its way out, and you want to very gently pull it apart until you can see which hairs have just been knotted up because the cat was shedding, or they're actually still attached to the cat. Now, if this doesn't work, you can also get a comb and very gently pull little pieces out of it. Otherwise, if you find your cat is too stressed out or doesn't want to be touched, your best option, honestly, is just to cut the mat out. I know people are very opposed to cutting their cat's fur, but in the grand scheme of things, when you have a cat who has a mat like that, you don't want to be pulling on them and trying to get it out. So what I guess what I mean get here is if you can't pull it across the body and kind of separate the mat, then like this way, not this way, then I suggest just cutting the mat right off. Um, then you get into the category of your pancake mats. These guys are nasty. Um, that's when the matting has gotten very, very close to the skin, and if that's the case, you're pretty much at the point where you have to cut the mat off. You could try to sit there and painstakingly pick the mat apart, but I'm telling you that it's going to be a very painful process for your cat, and it's going to take a very long time. It's kind of like a band-aid. It's better if you just shave it off and get there over quickly than slowly trying to pull it apart. Mats are not something that people have to deal with very often. And even if you were to talk to somebody with dreadlocks, because these are maintained and they're in such small sections on your head, they don't do the same thing as a mat. Usually when you have a mat, it's not a small little area. They're usually quite big. I actually shaved a mat off of a cat last week. I'm not kidding when I'm telling you the mat was about this big, and about this tall, and about this thick. It looked like a dinosaur was coming out of this cat. So if your cat is at this stage, there's really not very much you can do. So, if you don't own a pair of clippers, whether they're for a human or specifically for a pet, I don't suggest pulling out a razor. Cats have very temperamental skin. It's kind of hard to explain because their skin is not attached to their muscle fibers like a dog's is. It's very easy to kind of pull and move around. And if your cat's dehydrated, or if you have a cat who just has really sensitive skin, it is super easy to catch the skin in a razor, and it looks awful, and you're going to feel awful, and that's just not something you want to do. So, if you don't own a pair of clippers, then I suggest getting a hold of either your vet or a groomer. A lot of colleges that offer grooming programs will accept animals from the public to come in to be used as like learning dogs for your, or learning for the students, so cats and dogs. A lot of groomers will offer at-home services if you explain to them that you have a cat and they're nervous. Although, please respect your groomer's decision if they ask you to bring the cat in. I know the cat that I'm referring to with the big mat, the owner said she was awful to get in the carrier. She wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it, and once the cat was here, honestly, I gave the cat a bath and she didn't even look at me sideways. So a lot of the times, if you get the cat out of their element, there's a huge change in the cat. I've also done a few house calls with cats who, I remember one lady in particular had oven mitts on, and she was just decked out to the nines, and I just said to her, it's okay, just put the cat, we had, we put them on the table or on the counter, I grabbed my clippers, I zinged it off, and the cat didn't even know the difference. So it is different. It's a lot easier for the cat and for the groomer if they're out of their element, if mom's not around and they can't scream and yell and someone's going to save them. If you do decide to do it at home with your own personal pair of clippers, try to use a short blade. I always recommend a number 10. It's your safest bet. And work slowly and safely, but please keep an eye on your cat. Go as fast as your cat will allow while still being safe. Usually have about a 10-minute span before an angry cat will have enough. If you do need to have some help, I would not be scared to call a groomer and say, hey, can you kind of give me a hand? Or you know, if it comes down to it, if you have to bring your cat to the vet and your cat has to be sedated, that might just be the only option you have. Now, I've never had a cat that was that aggressive that I had to suggest for the cat to be sedated. Um, Most groomers know how to deal with cats. Always ask your groomer, you know, are you comfortable grooming cats? Have you groomed cats in the past? You know, my cat might be a little bit of just want to let you know, and they'll be able to kind of tell you how they feel about them. I personally don't have any problems grooming cats. I've even groomed the red label ones that the vets won't touch. So ask your groomer. Even if your cat has a smaller knot, it might be beneficial just to ask your groomer, can you show me how to remove these little ones so that if something happens, that there's a small one between grooms, I can remove it so it doesn't turn into a pancake mat. If your cat is very prone to being matted, then I suggest that you shave your cat. I know it sucks to see a line cut running around your house if you don't really like that look, but it's much easier on the cat. And as awful as it is to say, you might have to just suck it up and deal with your cat looking naked if that's what's going to be best for your cat. So I hope I answered the question to the person who was wondering. So really, to me, there are no specific tools for removing a mat. Your best bet is just your fingers. If you can't pull it apart, then it probably needs to be cut out. You could try to use a Furminator or some other dematting tool, but honestly, truly, if it's that matted that you can't get it apart with your fingers, these tools are just going to rip the fur right out of your cat's skin, and that's not fun at all. So if you have any questions, send me an email, and I will hopefully get back to you sooner than later. Like I said, I just took over the shop, rather, and I'm hoping to do some product videos for everyone out there who have been looking to get something new for their dog, especially with Christmas coming around. So anyway, before I talk your ears off, have a nice night, and I hope you learned something.